Start.
Good morning, friends. Today I've come up with another lecture of mine on heroic couplet. You must have all watched my earlier videos and hope you've liked them. Now, what is a heroic couplet? Or should I ask first, what is a couplet? We all know that couplet is a pair of end-rhymed lines of verse that are self-contained in the grammatical structure and meaning. And now, what is a heroic couplet? A heroic couplet is a couplet of iambic pentameters, often forming a distinct rhetorical and as well as a metrical unit. The rhyme scheme employed here is in pairs, AA, BB, and so on. Now I'm sure you must be knowing what an iambic pentameter is. In order to clarify it, let's discuss each word of the term. Iambic means that the meter is divided into groups of strong and weak syllables or metrical feet called the iambs. In an iamb, a weak syllable is followed by a strong syllable, or we may say that an unstressed syllable or a stressed syllable is followed by an unstressed syllable. The word pentameter means that there are 5 iambs in it. Each line taken together, iambic pentameter means there are 5 iambs, each 2 syllables long. In each line, a total of 10 syllables in each line. Now, as far as the origin of the heroic couplet is concerned, in English poetry, the origin is unknown. But Geoffrey Chaucer in the 14th century was the first to make an extensive use of this term heroic couplet, which was later perfected by the poets of the 17th and 18th century as John Dryden, Alexander Pope, etc. It was used in the epic, narrative poetry and mock epics, to name some. Heroic couplet was used by the neoclassical writers in the translations of the old Greek and Latin classics. Even Dr. Donaldson used it in his creations. An example of heroic couplet from Pope's Eloise to Abelard is, "Then share thy pain, allow that sad relief. Ah, more than share it, give me all thy grief." Well, as far as the kinds of heroic couplets are concerned, there are 2 kinds. First, it may be formal or a close couplet, which is also known as a self-contained couplet. In this, each of the 2 lines is end-stopped. That is, the thought or meaning contained in each line is completed in the line itself and does not run over, and the end of each couplet tends to coincide with the end either of a sentence or of a self-contained unit of syntax. The sustained employment of the closed heroic couplet meant that 2 lines had to serve something of the function of a stanza. Now, in order to maximize the interrelations of the component parts, the neoclassicists, who were the major users of this form of heroic couplet, often used the end-stopped first line. That is, they made the end of the line coincide with the pause in the syntax, and also broke each single line into subunits by balancing it around a strong caesura or medial pause in the syntax. An example of this is a passage from John Denham's Cooper Hills, in which he is addressing the river Thames, which reads, "Oh, could I flow like thee and make thy stream my great example, as it is my theme. Though deep, yet clear, though gentle, yet not dull, strong without rage, without overflowing full." In this, there is an early instance of the artful management of the closed couplet, which fascinated the later neoclassical poets, and they commented upon it again and again and used it as a model for exploiting the possibilities of this verse form. Denham achieves diversity and emphasis within the straightness of his couplets by shifts in the positions of the caesuras, the use of rhetorical balance and antithesis between the single lines and between the two halves within a single line, the variable positioning of the adjectives in the second couplet, and the manipulations of similar and contrasting vowel and consonant sounds. Another form of heroic couplet is the open heroic couplet or the riding rhyme. In this, the pattern of stressed word varies often from the iambic norm. The syntax is unsymmetrical, and the couplets run on freely as regards thought and meaning, with the rhyme serving to color rather than to stop the verse. One major example of this is Keats' Endymion, where there is use of open couplets. Pope's Essay on Man also depicts the use of heroic couplet in his Essay on Man. "Know then, presume not thy God to scan, for the proper study of mankind is man." In the open heroic couplets, where thought and meaning is run over to the second line, it is called enjambment. These couplets are most frequently used as units of composition. In long epigrammatic statements, they are often composed as independent poems or function as parts of other verse forms, such as Shakespearean sonnet, which is concluded with a couplet. In French narrative and dramatic poetry, the rhyming alexandrine, that is 12-syllable line, is the dominant couplet from the German and Dutch verse of the 17th and 18th century, reflects the influence of the alexandrine couplet. The term couplet is also commonly substituted for stanza in the French versification. Thank you. That's all for today. I'll be coming up with few more literary terms. Till then, goodbye.